This is Scott Waterhouse, and he's got a very interesting outreach that he's involved with. You didn't invent it, but it's pretty cool, and it's an outgrowth of your own life experience. So tell us what this outreach is called and how it came about.
Our nonprofit is Resources for Seniors Incorporated. We're a 503c nonprofit corporation, and we've been around for 43 years in the Wake County area. And we work predominantly with senior citizens and adults with disabilities.
Scott was telling me earlier that he got into this by watching his mother. So tell them what you told me.
Well, basically what happened in my early life as a youth was watching my mother go through the caregiver process with my grandparents. First with my grandfather and then my grandmother, and how taxing that role was in her life to wrap it around her work.
Well, what's so taxing about? I mean, I had grandparents for years who were not any burden.
Well, when their health starts going down, they have to have more attention. When my grandfather passed away, my grandmother gave up on life. She had to pay much more attention to her. She had to leave work some days just to make sure she was taking care of herself at the home. And eventually she had to place her because she wouldn't care for herself.
And so that was about when you were 18 or 19, I believe.
Correct.
You told me. And then, so that Scott watched his aunt and his mother being very involved with his grandparents' lives. And you said your mother and your aunt had to make they did a lot of traveling back and forth, and they also had jobs. Your mother had a job, so tell them about that.
Well, they did. My aunt had her own business, so she was a little bit more flexible, but my mother worked as a secretary, as they called them at that time, and she was 45 minutes away from her job, but some days she would have to go down to the facility where my grandmother was, and that was another 45 minutes to get there, and then 45 minutes to get back home. So that circle going on 3 to 5 times a week of visitation and taking care of her because she was lonely. She didn't want to get to know the residents. Even though she had 2 sisters in the same facility, they didn't always get along with each other. And you know how it is with siblings, so that happened.
All right, so then Scott later became involved then with, tell them and give them the details. People are wondering, how can they get involved? Everybody can't be involved in your outreach.
The good thing for me was I went to a Baptist college, and I minored in religion there, and they kept telling us, what do you want to do in particular? What would your ministry be if you left today? And my heart was always working with older adults.
Really?
I grew up around a lot of older adults because of my grandparents, and that kind of gave me a direction to go with that, and I moved into that. And over the years, I started working with specific nonprofits that did that with Johnston County and Wake County.
So tell them the kinds of things that you are involved in that they could be doing wherever they are.
Well, the amazing thing about our agency is we're not a typical aging agency. We have a home improvement program where we utilize volunteers in that program. We have,
in other words, helping people improving their home.
Exactly. I mean, they're probably not able to work on their own homes. Right. Some of them had a spouse that used to take care of those, but they have a leaky faucet. They can't do it now. They have a leak in the roof and someone needs to patch it. So there are a bunch of little projects that are constantly being requested through our agency. Right now we have a waiting list of probably over 160 people waiting for minor repairs to be done at their homes.
Okay. I bet this, though, is one of 50 things that you have identified as needs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's constant. We have adult daycare centers because...
Well, wait. Adult daycare. Tell them what that is. I don't even know.
Well, adult daycare is we're able to take in people that are senior citizens and also people that are 18 and older that might have something like Parkinson's, MS, CP, a lot of different types of diseases that are out there. And we care for them during the day. Our facilities, you can go from 8 to 5 o'clock, and there's staff there will take care of them. The family can go out and still do their jobs, do their errands while we're away. So it's a great opportunity. We utilize volunteers at all 4 of those facilities.
Okay. Give us some more of the practical needs that you meet.
Information and referral. We're constantly called, how do I connect with this service or that service? And we have a database that's over 750 different types of connections that we can put them in touch with. We have all the phone numbers, the websites, all the information they need to connect. And you think that's not that hard to do, but we've been working on a directory of information for over 25 years, and it grows every year with new resources.
All right. So does that mean that you get on the internet and you find something and you just read it off to them? I mean, somehow you are more involved than what you're sounding like, I think, because you're not just answering like from a help desk.
Well, it is an information line they're calling in on.
Okay.
But everything that's in our database has been vetted. So in that process, when someone calls in, we have looked into this company. We checked to see if they have any bad marks in any kind of way against them.
Takes time.
And, that process can be a month or two before someone gets into our database.
Oh, you're talking about, who is calling you? I was thinking you meant the elderly people are calling you,
but it's not. It can be the caregiver. It can be the next door neighbor calling. I have a friend. She's not coming out of the house. I'm worried about her. She fell in the front yard. She had a hard time getting up. So it can be anybody, and it can be another agency calling to say, look, I know you have a lot of resources. This is my situation with this client. How can you help them?
Oh, this is great. All right, this is far better than what I was realizing. But now I remember a while ago you said that you guys provide a lot of support for caregivers.
We do. We offer information with them. We also do caregiver counseling. We have a lot of caregivers that are thrust into it before they're ready for it. All of a sudden there's a heart attack and the person is bedridden or something like that. Where do I go from here? How do I do these things? What am I in charge of now?
And in case these folks don't know, the people calling you very often are very distressed, grieving, crying, upset. They are totally lost in their situation. They've tried to do it all on their own, thinking that's my job, and they haven't asked for help. And all of a sudden, they're close to themselves being over the deep end. So they call us for solace sometimes, but also to get that information they need to help them understand their situation and how do they move through it. What do they need to do to take care of the one they love? Okay, let me ask you this, Scott. Can the folks listening to you do any of this on their own? Will they find these needs in the communities, in their neighborhoods?
Oh, definitely. They'll find it in their own family, their neighborhoods, their communities, and that's where we get a lot of calls from too. They're seeing somebody else go through a situation that isn't asking for help, and they don't want to tell on them, but they know they need help, and they can tell them about us and how we have counselors that can work with them and specialists that can connect them to the resources they're looking for.
Well, thanks a lot for talking to us.
My pleasure.